Hi, my name is Melissa Grandy, and I am a science teacher here at True North Homeschool Academy. And I am here with my friend BJ, who is an art teacher. And we're here to talk a little bit about our art classes today. We've heard a lot about the humanities classes and the literature classes and history and language. So we're here today to talk about the super fun subject of art, one of everyone's favorite subjects when they look back on the history of their own education. I think everyone, when you say, what was your favorite subject? Everyone's like, art. I love art. So, BJ, can you tell us a little bit more about the classes that you're teaching this year and what grades they're for?
Absolutely. So most of my classes, well, all of my classes are junior high, senior high. Um, I love that age group. I've got we graduated my teenager this year and I have an 8-year-old, so I have no one else to focus all of my energy on, teenager wise, except for your children. So send them to me. My gosh, guys.
Yes, that's
Um,
great.
my classes are a pretty heavy split between fine arts and digital media because I do 3 classes that are drawing and watercolor. And then I have a um, digital design with Canva class, and then I have a intro to video editing class. So we do the spectrum when it comes to the visual arts in my classrooms.
That's great. So let's go through your list of your classes, and if you could tell us maybe a little bit about each class specifically, and then maybe your favorite project as an example from each class, or favorite assignment, so that everyone can kind of understand what they'll be doing in those classes. So let's start with video editing. And I think that you are tying this into some interesting things that you've actually seen in current events locally with the flooding, if I'm correct.
Yes. So I'm based in South Dakota, and where my husband drives to work every day in Rock Valley, Iowa, has made it unfortunately into national news for flooding disasters. He's actually in Rock Valley today with the cleanup crews helping to pull people's ruined lives out of their houses. And it just really had me like, one, it's hard to be in like a, okay, let's promote a class mood when like, oh, people I know's homes are destroyed. And as I was
Mm,
thinking about this interview and like, how am I gonna like get my head in the space? It did just light bulb went off. Like everything everyone's seen on social media and the news has gone through the hands of a digital designer and a video editor. Right?
yes.
It's how we absorb information from the world around us, um, from politics and entertainment to disaster rescue. It all passes through the hands of people who understand how to use a computer to relate information to other human beings. So it's not just like, oh, my kid likes to make YouTube videos, although obviously, what kid doesn't like to make YouTube videos?
Right.
These are real skill sets being used to connect people to people and people to help when they need it. So I cannot recommend video editing enough. I really can't.
I love that, and I feel like that would even be an important class for even students that are maybe like going into like poli sci or a history major, because I feel like it would help them even just have an understanding of media. So I think that would even be beneficial for other students that maybe have other interests too.
Absolutely. If you're
Yeah.
interested in the humanities, students who are interested in volunteer work,
Yes.
as well as storytelling, video editing, I mean, just having the basic grasp of that is so beneficial. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And you also teach, along with digital, a class on graphic design. Can you tell us a little bit
I
about that?
do. So my video editing class is a full year, 1 credit class. The graphic design with Canva is for people looking for a bite-sized piece of digital media. It's a half-credit class that we offer in the fall. We use Canva Pro, super accessible software, and I love the projects we hit with that. That also pairs really well with students who are very business minded or design minded entrepreneurs. Students in that class all design a fake business, and we use that
Nice.
business to create all sorts of print and digital media, from logos all the way up to website design is covered in that class in 15 weeks. So it's a little bit like drinking from a water fountain, but we have a good time.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And I think that that is a great first step in if you have a young budding entrepreneur. It's a great first step in getting a website up and running and things like that. And also sounds like it would pair amazing with the entrepreneur class for sure.
Yeah.
So if you're taking entrepreneurship, definitely add this as your elective for the year. And from what I understand, there's not too many seats left in graphic design, correct?
That one is filling up. So if you want it, push the button on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. It's a popular one. So, okay. So now switching to print media, you teach a Art 1 and Art 2 class. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes. So both of those are also half credits. Art 1 is fall semester, Art 2 is spring semester. Art 1 is animal drawing and watercolor. Super popular class among junior high and high school girls.
Yes. I
We
would
do get
imagine.
boys in that class as well, like for sure. Actually, some of my favorite reoccurring students are these. There's a couple of junior high age boys who I'm just like, please tell me you're going into a career of art. Don't
Oh,
underestimate the value of arts to your boys, families. Please
yes.
don't.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And then Art
Definitely.
2, the spring semester, is North American botanicals. Pairs really well with the sciences,
Yes.
and even with the animals. I started as a science major. I was a vet tech major in college, so I all of my art classes, we don't just like draw fun things and paint pretty colors. We talk about anatomy and dissection because you need to understand what's going on underneath the body. You need to understand the skeletal and muscular structure of an animal or a human being
Yes.
in order to understand why we draw emotion or motion the way
Mhm.
that we do in art.
Yeah, and that is a great segue to your form and color class, which I think focuses more on human anatomy, correct? And would be a great pairing
Yes,
with biology. So, could you tell us about that?
absolutely. So we tend to divide this one. This is a full credit class. So we focus our first semester on form, which is drawing the human body. We take little chunks at a time and add them together. We'll have a week where we focus on how do we draw eyes? How do we draw the mouth? Especially because that's a thing in motion and hard to capture well. How do
Yeah.
we get fingers to look articulated well? And then through the next second semester, we add color into that, not just this is how watercolor works. We talk about color theory, we talk about effect techniques with watercolor, and we start with, in both cases, how do we find the shapes in a complex figure,
Mm.
simplify them, and stitch them back together again? It's sort of a, most people don't think about art in a mathematical way. It's usually considered like math
Free.
opposite, but
Yeah.
we attack it from, it's very mathematical and logical. Proportion is geometry.
Yes.
And so understanding that visually, super beneficial. We also tackle this class kind of in themes. We definitely have a Disney week. I talk about anatomy in this class quite a lot. We have a couple weeks of okay zombies. How do we
Nice.
draw musculature and bones and why is it important? I think probably every year the best feedback I get from students is they love the week we tackle human skulls. They
Nice.
and they're
That
fun to draw.
sounds so fun. Yeah, that sounds so fun. Love it. I love it. So, what were some of your favorite projects that maybe you've done over the years, or maybe do you have any examples that you can show us or tell us about?
So with the art, um, we take, so the way I design my classes is we leave room for student interest. I have
Mhm.
technical skills we're going to hit. I have species we're going to hit in animal and botany, but we leave a lot of room for, okay, who do you want to draw and why? We had a bunch of football fans, so we drew a lot of McCarthy from Michigan University. So we just drew a lot of football players because that's what the students were interested in, and they're a great way to study human body in motion.
Yeah,
We had
definitely.
uh, sharks was a big theme in Art
Mm.
1 this last year. Love drawing those, and though I think when it comes to video editing, the group project is probably everyone's favorite. It's one of mine.
Mm.
We do a virtual fight where students have to throw a punch or swing a. We have a lot of students with lightsabers. You guys, a lot
Nice.
of those end up in my classes.
Nice.
And no judgment. I have a lightsaber. There's a stormtrooper helmet on the piano behind me. It's
Yeah,
where
that's
it lives in
awesome.
my where they have to work on their timing to give and react to fights and use video effects to make that fight look engaging and exciting
Yeah,
and real. And we stitch them all together for students. It's a good time. We also love every January we do. They have to design a Super Bowl commercial in my video
very
editing
cool.
class.
Yeah, very cool. Very fun. I love that. And that's interesting because that can also like tie into the current event aspect that we were just talking about as well, because you have to have some knowledge of like pop culture and what's going on. A lot of those Super
Yes,
Bowl commercials, you have to have some kind of understanding of current events and pop culture because there's usually like little jokes that relate to that.
it
So
does. Both in the digital design and video editing, we talk about demographics
mm,
in design, especially when it comes down to in both classes, a thing like text. Okay, the type of text you choose for your title can make or break who's
mm,
going to watch your video or read your content, because if it looks old, they're going to assume it's not for them. And so we talk about
yeah.
here are the fonts that were super popular when I was in high school. Here's what's new now. The New York Times is not using the same font now as it did when I was in high school. All
Mm,
forms of media transition through the generations, which
mhm.
are coming faster and faster and closer together, because with
Yes.
social media, the way age groups identify with one another is shrinking in a really
Mhm.
weird way. My
Yeah.
parents all probably have seen it a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I do
how
feel
to
like the
relate to
generations are shorter. They're classifying them shorter
much
since like
shorter.
Gen
Yes.
X. Yeah, they're like 15 years instead of like 25 now. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's really interesting. Definitely. Okay, so which of your classes do you think would pair well with maybe some other classes that we offer? Like right off the top of your head, we talked about form and color working great with biology, but do you have any other recommendations? Graphic design with entrepreneurship.
Yes. So any it's not so much a class. I'm almost going to like kind of backtrack here. If your student has a special interest,
Yeah,
put them in video editing.
yeah.
All right. I can almost not recommend enough. I have students who make independent videos outside of classwork. We take time to share independent work every time we're in class, because students grow when they see other students thriving
Hmm.
in a medium. It's so encouraging, that interaction they have in classes for that. Um, and it's always special interest based. All right. I had kids who love history, making video tours of museums, kids who love books, doing specialty readings. One of the best videos I got last year, we talk about lighting. And so we talked about how to backlight a subject. So it's just the light
Mm.
behind them and they're a back figure. And the student gave a reading on a section of the life of Teddy Roosevelt, and it was just astounding. It
Mm.
was one of the best produced things, I think, that year in class. Uh,
Nice.
give your kids an outlet for their special interest. And whether it's art and you're throwing them in an art class, but even with that, with video editing, they have a way to share and connect with people they wouldn't normally have the ability to reach out to, who wouldn't have the ability to reach out to them. And it gives kids a focus. We all know that word, mom, I'm bored. Why? You have a billion things you could be doing.
Yeah.
Well, they need a focus. It's not enough to have a skill set or materials. They need a focus and a goal to work towards. We all do, but in kids, right?
Yes.
Video editing helps give that focus and that outlet for your bored, maybe kind of lost, maybe kind of frustrated teenager. Having that is, I always say the arts are just, you can't have mental health without understanding of the arts in today's age.
True.
We've
Oh my
used
gosh. Yes.
art as a form of expression and relation
Yes.
for millennia. And the more rapid and technological the pace of life, the more we need to understand empathy for other people and ourselves. and
Mhm.
how to have outlets for expression when words are difficult, or we're fighting with our mom over our laundry. Real life scenario.
Yes. I almost feel like video editing, like 20 years ago, all the kids were taking computer. Like you had to take computer science or typing or something. But now the kids are growing up with that technology. So they just kind of intrinsically learn how to do it as they're growing up because it's just a part of their daily life. So I feel like video editing is kind of the modern equivalent to what computer science used to be. So, like, if you
Yeah,
want to get your kid doing something technological that maybe they're not quite understanding yet, this would be like that next step up since computer is, a little bit more intrinsic, than doing YouTube videos or things like that. So I love that. I
absolutely.
love that about this class.
We even in this class, on that note, we touch on AI in both classes in
That's great.
digital design and video editing. You have to.
Yes, you have to. That is
um,
another rapidly growing area. Yeah.
yes,
Um, and
better
I'm
or for
sure that
worse,
topic will just build in your classes as the years go on too.
they
So
do. Yeah,
yeah.
they do.
What classes have your own children taken that they've really liked?
So my he graduated this year. We're one down in our house. Maths,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the art teacher, and I'm like that stereotypical art teacher where it's like math is like, no, thank you. Obviously I graduated, I went to college, and it wasn't a problem, but it's that love. I never developed a love for it,
Yeah.
which is actually another one of my hooks for parents in art, because I get a lot of parents who are like, I don't even know how to begin to get my student like their
Mm,
credit in art or whatever they need, or to feed this passion. Um, that was for me for math, because my kid was good at math, but we were frustrated with each other. So
yes.
he loved those classes. And Latin. Guys, I cannot recommend Latin enough. I really can't.
Me too. I'm like, you have to take Latin before anything else. Like at least a year. At least a year. It broadened your horizons for all their languages. I feel the same way. I have 3 kids, and all of them have taken Latin. So at least 2 years worth, because I believe in it so strongly. So yeah, that's great. Latin, again, I can't recommend that enough too. So any parting thoughts for us today, BJ?
Parting thoughts.
How about how to get ready for the school year?
Oh, okay. Whatever class you choose, read that supply list immediately when you purchase the class, and then purchase supplies right then.
Yeah.
That's probably across the board the number one thing I have struggles with for my students is, well, we haven't bought the program yet, or my books haven't, like my watercolor paper hasn't come in, or we didn't make
Mm,
time to go pick up the paint at the store. And it sets your kid an entire week behind in classwork and homework. So
yeah.
across the board with classes, you need the students to have their materials, especially
Agreed.
if it's hands-on materials. Like I can't take a picture of, the questions and email them to a student. We're drawing an apple. You
Right.
need to have your paper and your pencils and your paint.
Yes. Yes. And as a science teacher, I feel the same way about labs. So we can't do our labs. So yeah, definitely recommend that. If you purchase classes already, in particular BJ's art classes, please check the supply list. And if you've ever taken an art class before, you know that once after 4th of July hits and all the school stuff starts coming out, people just start scrambling to get that stuff. So if you've already bought the classes, this is a great week to go and try to get those things before the rush. But get them as soon as possible, definitely. So, well,
Yes.
thank
And I
you so
think
much for being here. And we really appreciate it. And if you're interested in any of BJ's art classes, please go to truenorthhomeschool.academy and you can look those up. You could type in her name, you could type in art, and you'll generate a list of classes that are available for you to purchase. So thanks so much for being here again, and have a great day. Bye.